My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I greet you all with the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah. We bear witness and we testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we bear witness and we testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his messenger and his slave. All salawats and salams be upon our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon his noble family, his righteous companions, and all those who follow his path to the last day. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are able to come back to the mosque and pray Jum'ah prayer in congregation. It is very important for all of us to reflect and not to take anything for granted. When we have a chance to do good things, grab that opportunity and do good things, because we don't know, maybe tomorrow you want to do that good thing, but you will not be able to do so. Today, we'll talk about this very important topic, and that is humility and humbleness in Islam. Whoever possesses these qualities in Islam, we consider those people to be true believers in Islam. When it comes to humbleness and being modest, it is important, and this is in two things. Number one, the meaning of this is when you accept the truth from the person that is conveying it, whether that person is your friend, whether that person is your enemy, whether that person is younger than you, whether that person is older than you, whether that person is poorer than you, whoever that person is, if he's conveying the truth, you have to accept that truth, and that shows how you're humble. And number two, it is important to be modest and being humble the way that we treat other people. Sometimes some people might have the first quality but not the second one. It is very important, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. And the opposite, as you know, the opposite of humility and humbleness is what? Is arrogance and pride. You know, our Prophet ﷺ said when it comes to al-kibr, which is proud, being proud and arrogance, is the rejecting of the truth and looking down upon people. In terms of Islam, when we call someone arrogant, the first meaning of that is when they reject the truth, and that is the truth of Islam. That is when someone is arrogant, when someone is proud, but someone who is humble and is modest. Our Prophet ﷺ said, no one is humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unless Allah raises him in ranks. So when you're humble, be humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Prophet ﷺ also said, he who is humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by a degree, Allah will elevate him 1 degree until he reaches the highest degrees, and he who is arrogant towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will lower him 1 degree until he reaches the lowest of the low degrees. What does that mean in other words? When we are humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is important, especially towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards His commands and His prohibitions. Whatever Allah has commanded us and whatever Allah has told us to stay away from, we have to be humble and accept that. And not trying to please other people, but pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you do that to please other people and making your Lord, your Maker, your Sustainer angry, Allah will not raise you, Allah will lower your rank until He will make other people hate you. Why? Because you don't do that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Prophet ﷺ said, Allah revealed to me that we should be humble amongst ourselves and none should show arrogance towards others. So I say to myself and you all, O sons of Adam, be humble. You don't own anything forever. So why we are arrogant? Some people are arrogant even the way that they look or the way that their children look. What have you contributed for you to look like that? If Allah has blessed you with good appearance and Allah has created every human being the best state, the best creation of Allah, or we are human beings. And we see a lot of people on social media, they either put themselves or they even put their children. And they feel like they have some kind of credit for that. SubhanAllah. Instead of being thankful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, instead of being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what they do, they go on social media and they're proud of themselves, the way I look, the way my body looks. And wallahi, my dear brothers and sisters, what is happening nowadays with respect? We see a lot of brothers and even a lot of sisters with hijab. They go online and they say the craziest things that anyone should be embarrassed. SubhanAllah. And they show themselves, lip filling, they show this, they do that, SubhanAllah. And I've seen, and I say this, and I mean no disrespect to anyone. But I have seen also sisters with hijab and they carry those heavy weights and they do this and they do that. And if you do that for your health, it's okay, but why do you want to put that on social media? What are you trying to prove? Are you trying to change the direction of Islam now? To say, see, we Muslims, we do this, we do that. Wallahi. I don't just represent myself, I represent Islam in this country. And all of us that are here, and even our mothers and our sisters and our wives, they don't just represent themselves, they represent Islam as well. We are responsible for ourselves and our families, my dear brothers and sisters. So be careful and be careful how you expose yourself out there, and be careful what you do, especially when you do things in the name of Islam. You're not just damaging yourself and your name, you will damage the image of Islam as well in front of other people, because other people don't know. If a sister is with hijab, they expect everyone to be, mashallah, praying this and that. And this is a wrong mentality, even in every Muslim community, I think. Even if a young boy or someone who wants to get married, the first thing that they look at a woman is what? If she is covered. So they don't ask if she prays. They don't ask if she fulfills 5 pillars of Islam. But no, if she's covered. Why? Because in their mind, which is normal sometimes, they think that if she's covered, she does other things as well. That is wrong. You remember when I talked about how we should learn Islam and how we should prioritize things in Islam? We stick to those things who are secondary in Islam and we forget things that are primary in Islam. You remember last week's talk online? People go and fast the day of Arafah and they don't fast the whole month of Ramadan. How does that make sense? And people go online, you should fast the day of Arafah, it's so important. And if you know this, we understand it's important, it's sunnah, it's nawafil. But fasting the holy month of Ramadan is 100 times more important, because that is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So remember, my dear brothers and sisters, prioritize things in Islam. Start with the things that are the most important, things that are mandatory in Islam, and things that are haram in Islam, to stay away from them. And things that are recommended in Islam, and things that are disliked in Islam. For recommended things, if you do them, you will get rewarded. If you don't do them, there is no punishment. We know that. Things that are disliked, if you stay away from them, you get rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't, there is no punishment. So what is the most important thing? It's mandatory thing. Fara'id. Things that are wajib, and things that are haram. You understand? These are very, very important things. What kind of humility and humbleness is in Islam, my dear brothers? And this is the core of this topic. And remember, we see, why I chose this topic is because we see a lot of Muslims, especially for those who just started to practice Islam. You know, sometimes they judge other people. They can't be patient with other people. Because I just started to pray 5 daily prayers, and Allah has been patient with me for 30 years. For 30 years I've done nothing. I started now, and now I started to pray or fast. I'm judging everyone else who is not praying, who is not fasting. That shows a type of arrogance. We have to be humble. Just like our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So number one, a person should be humble towards the commands and prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to be arrogant. If Allah told us to do so and so, we should do so and so. If Allah told us to stay away from certain things, we should stay away from those things. Number three, being humble, and notice the way that we dress and the way that we walk. When I say dress and walk, that pretty much means everything. Even the way that you drive your car. You know, Allah has blessed you with wealth, alhamdulillah. If Allah has blessed you with good clothes, you're able to buy expensive clothes. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're able to afford expensive car, if you're able to afford expensive clothes, there's nothing wrong Islamically. As long as you don't show arrogance or pride in front of other people. If you love to dress nicely or to have a good car, as long as it's from halal way, there's nothing wrong with that. Once you start to show off in front of other people, and when you show off means that you try to put down other people because you see, look who I am, look what kind of car I'm driving, look what kind of clothes I'm wearing, look what kind of job I do. If you do certain things, Allah will lower you in this dunya and in akhirah as well. May Allah protect us, Ya Rabbal Alameen. And our Prophet ﷺ, what did he say? Whilst a man was letting his garment drag out of pride, he was swallowed up by the earth and will continue sinking until the day of resurrection. You remember there's hadith about pants and trousers lower than your ankles? You know, we've seen some imams and even people that they don't understand the way how hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ work. And sometimes they go outside and even inside the mosque and they see someone who wears pants who are lower than their ankle. They say, you will be burned in hellfire. Because they have heard this hadith and they don't know anything else how hadiths work. And they say you're going to be burned, you're going to be burned, without understanding the meaning of the hadith. And let me tell you just how these things work. We don't just take one particular hadith and judge on that. Maybe about the same topic or Prophet ﷺ talk somewhere else. So we have to combine all the hadiths and then come up with the conclusion. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he heard this hadith, and then he said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, you see how skinny I am. I try to keep my trousers, my pants up, but they go down because I'm so skinny. Am I included in this hadith? He said, Ya Abu Bakr, you're not included in this hadith because you don't do this out of pride. You don't do this to show up like those kings and those people out there. So you see how things work? Be careful what you say to other people and the way that you judge. SubhanAllah. People easily saying, you will burn in hellfire, you will do this, you will go to hell. SubhanAllah. Do you own hellfire? Is that yours or that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is important to advise one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a nice way, the kindest way that is possible. And that is when you understand things yourself. You just started to pray, maybe you listened to one or two khutbahs, or maybe you read half a book, and all of a sudden you became a scholar in Islam. Be aware, be careful. Be careful when it comes to judging other people. Be humble. Look at yourself first before you look at the faults of other people. Number 4, my dear brothers, it is very important to be humble and modest to those people who are lesser in status than you. Whether that is at work, whether that is at home, whether that is at the mosque, wherever you are, remember this verse in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلُ فَمَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَيْكُمْ. You were like this before. So if you're a business owner, if you're a teacher, if you're, you've got a position of manager, are you able to become a manager straight away without being a worker first? Are you able to become a teacher without being a student first? Are you able to become an imam without being a student first? So Allah is saying, Allah has honored you with what you have now. Remember how you were before. So when you deal with students, remember that you were a student first. If when you deal with your workers, remember that you were a worker first. And this is how we show humbleness towards other people, and especially my dear brothers and sisters. And this is a big issue in our community. Showing humbleness towards our parents. And I have seen this. And I have said this even before in this mosque. We see a lot of our children, because they finish high school or because they finish a degree, and now all of a sudden they think that they know everything. And when the parents start to talk, they say, Father, sit down, you don't know anything, you're from overseas. I was born here. They think that only because they were born here, they're smarter than us for some reason. But experience that the parents have and the things that they have went through, you will never be able to learn that from any book. Even if your father or your mother doesn't have a degree, life experience. The sacrifice that they have made for you and me. So being humble towards your parents, that shows your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As some scholars have said, if you want to know what kind of person you are and how Allah thinks of you, look at the way that you treat your parents. And all of us that have parents, just think how you treat them, the way you talk to them, the way that you put them down. Be careful, because you will be a parent one day, and nothing hurts you more than whatever comes from the mouth of your own children. Children that we have sacrificed so much to raise them, to do everything for them. And now when they become a bit older, now parents, they can't work anymore, they can't provide anymore, that means that they're useless now. We don't need them, and therefore we don't have to respect them. SubhanAllah. A Muslim, people that fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you remember when we talked about parents, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, straight away, who comes next? Our parents. So be careful how you treat your parents. Be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if your parents are still alive. And say, Alhamdulillah, that I am able to serve my parents. And the easiest way for you and me to earn Jannah is through our parents. Not through your wife, not through your children, not through other people, it's through your parents. And if your parents are here, If you don't even live with them, at least give them a call once a day. Father, mother, do you need anything? If they're overseas, also call them. And people came to me, you remember when I told you, people used to come to me and actually show that pride and arrogance. They say, Imam, I helped my father, my mother, my brother, I gave my with the zakat, I gave my zakat. What are you trying to say? You just wait for Ramadan to give your zakat to your siblings and your family? And remember, you know, sometimes I'm in trouble because I'm very blunt, but I say this to you. If you are from wherever you are, let's say I'm from Albania, and my family is there, my family struggles, and I send my Khutbah or my zakat, let's say in whatever country, other country, I'm not doing the right thing. Who deserves my zakat, my help the most? It's my immediate family members first. If my uncle struggles, he doesn't have even food to eat, and now I want to show off, I send my Qurban and my zakat, my sadaqah in another country. That is not the right thing to do. Why? He's my uncle, you know, don't worry about it. No one will know that I help my uncle. But if I help other people, I'm going to show on Facebook. You're destroying your deeds by showing off and telling what you're doing for the sake of Allah. And that is not for the sake of Allah anymore. Is that true? For the sake of Allah, we give things and no one knows about it. And this is one of the best ways to give. When people start to know, Shaitan will whisper in our ears. They will say, hey, be proud, you gave so much money, to the point that your intention is not for Allah anymore. Be careful, be careful. Family comes always first. A dinar, $1 that you give for the sake of Allah, whatever it is, to give to free a slave, to give to the poor, or that dollar you spend towards your family, or Prophet ﷺ said the best dollar is the one that you spend towards your family. You understand? Whatever you spend for your family, if you do it for the sake of Allah, that is considered charity as well. Remember this, my dear brothers and sisters. And also, humility and humbleness when you interact with your spouse and your family members. Not because I'm a father, not because I am a husband. Now I want to show that authority and I want to act out, do this and don't do this. No, be humble. Or Prophet ﷺ was humble. And what are you trying to prove you're better than him? He was helping his wives. He was doing his own chores around the house. So don't think you're a lesser man if you help your wife. If you do your dishes or whatever things that you do around your house. That is the sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ. Be humble. And also, being humble towards the young and be kind with them, those who are younger than you. You know, this is very important. And accept advice. You know, as I told you, Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he was one of the greatest scholars known in Islamic history. And other scholars from Malik and Shafi'i and Ahmad and the rest, they used to accept advice even from boys that are 5 years of age. That's how humble they were. Even though they were great scholars, and Allah has raised them up, and we still learn their books even today. When it comes to us, now who are you to tell me what to do? You're younger than me. You know, you're poorer than me. Do you know who I am? Who are you? Who are you? Do you know from what family I come from? Subhanallah. This asabiyya, you know, this status, this pride and arrogance, this is not from Islam. In Islam, we have to be humble. Doesn't matter who I am. Doesn't matter whether I'm Imam, I'm this, I'm Haji, I'm older, I'm younger. Whatever truth or from whoever it comes, even if he is my enemy, I have to accept it because it is the truth. This is when you're humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters, it is very, very important being humble and being modest, because everything that we have belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even ourselves, even our bodies, even our children, even our families, even our wealth, even our status, everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nothing will be yours forever. If you know that those things are temporarily yours, why be arrogant? Why showing off? And what is destroying us these days? Because before, when was no social media, nothing, maybe you used to show off in front of your family members because no one. Now, if you put a status online, how many people see that? Wallahi, I fear that we are destroying our good deeds intentionally. We put online no privacy anymore whatsoever. I do something simple, put it online. Why do you want to put it online? For what reason? Why? No, look at my son, or look at my daughter, or look at my this, or look at my that, or look at myself. What credit can you take for that? Allah has blessed you with a child. Say Alhamdulillah. If Allah has blessed you with a body, you have no sicknesses, you're healthy, you're handsome, you're pretty, or whatever. Say Alhamdulillah, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many people are born? They're sick. They suffer every single day. And yet you put yourself like we should praise you for who you are. Everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my dear brothers and sisters, I advise myself and you all, especially humbleness towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept everything that Allah has commanded us to do, and to reject everything that Allah told us to stay away from. To be humble, number one, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with your family members. It is easy to be humble towards one another because we don't see each other very often. But most of the time we spend where? With our family members. Don't be a dictator in your home. Don't be that kind of person that your children will hate when they grow up. Don't be that kind of person when your wife cannot wait for you to leave your home. But be that kind of person that your wife, your spouse, or your kids cannot wait for you to go home. And this is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Be humble towards community. Be humble towards your co-workers. Inside the mosque, outside the mosque. And remember that whatever you have belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one day, you are going to leave everything and you're going to be nobody. When we die, our children will remember us, and maybe their children, if you're lucky after that, what? It will be like we never existed. So where is that arrogance coming from? Why being arrogant for? I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that we are humble and we are modest towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards other people. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that we love, we respect, we advise one another only for His sake. Ya Rabbal Alameen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that we are able to feed ourselves and our families with halal and to stay away from haram, Ya Rabbal Alameen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that Allah is pleased with us in this world, in the next, Ya Rabbal Alameen. وَقُولُوا قَوْلِ هَذَا وَاسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوهُ. Say